If it lives up to its hype, 5G technology could change the way we use smartphones. But is everyone ready to sign up? Vitali Mossounov with TD Asset Management joins us today with more. Vitali, welcome.
Good to be here, Tony.
So what does 5G actually mean?
Yeah, 5G is a word that gets thrown around a lot. All it is the fifth generation of cellular wireless technologies. 1980s, we had the first generation, really what we thought it would be, voice. Second generation, 2G, came in the 1990s. That was really all about text, basic functionality like that. 3G, early 2000s. Think of that as very fundamental multimedia, sending a picture. 4G, really the world we live in today, and 4G is all about more rich multimedia experiences like video and streaming and so on. But 5G, we're on the cusp of that today. Really what that's going to be about is even faster speeds. We'll go from something like 100 megabits per second to as much as 1 gigabit per second, and then maybe even more importantly, latency. So the time from the point you send the signal to that it actually gets transmitted, that can go down a lot by a factor of as much as 100 to 1 millisecond.
And so what does this mean for consumers?
Well, first and foremost as consumers, what we care about is our smartphones. And so, we'll pull up a chart, we'll look at the actual number of 5G devices out there, 5G smartphones. Now, right now it's zero. There's a couple of handset makers out there that are selling 5G devices, but it's very early. They're not really fully developed, fully thought out 5G devices. Maybe 10, 11 million units this year is what we're expecting in total sales. Really, next year is when consumers can start to get excited. We'll expect that Apple in September will launch their first 5G device. And so we'll get 70, 80 million units sold next year. And then things really just ramp up year after year, and this big replacement cycle happens as everyone with their 4G devices upgrades to a 5G device, to the point where by mid-next decade, we should have a few billion 5G devices out there.
Interesting trend. What does 5G mean outside of smartphones?
A good observation. After all, we already have smartphones, so it's going to be a big upgrade cycle on smartphones. We're just going to be replacing a 4G smartphone with a 5G smartphone. But the implications are even bigger outside of that, and it's really the point around latency. So it's that low latency really allowing us to have real-time communications. Think of things like connected cars, autonomous cars. If cars are on the road, they need to speak with each other. They need to understand real-time conditions, behaviors, intents. Right now, that high latency just makes that impossible. By the time a car can react, it might have already slammed into the back of the car in front of it. And so 5G, with its very low latency, is going to enable these next generation connected device, smart city, autonomous driving applications.
And as people upgrade, what about data network traffic?
Yeah, traffic is moving up very fast. It's going up a lot, and that trend is just going to continue. 5G, with its faster speeds, is going to enable higher quality video downloads, for example, and traffic is going to grow and grow and grow. You can see we're doing about 30 exabytes per month on mobile networks.
Can you explain what exabytes means?
Yeah, an exabyte, it's the term you don't hear often, but we're doing so much traffic. 1 exabyte is 1 billion gigabytes. So it's a number that's hard to frame, but there's 30 billion gigabytes of traffic happening every month on mobile networks around the world. That's going to quintuple, in part thanks to 5G, by 2024.
And let's bring it home to the investors. How do they participate?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. I mean, the most basic way is basically to own some of these telco companies that are going to have the 5G networks. We think there's kind of more nuanced ways to do it. For example, there are semiconductor companies that are actually going to make the chips to enable all of these 5G transmissions to happen. There's also test and measurement companies. So a Verizon or a Rogers would need to buy this equipment and use it to actually set up their networks and make sure they're working properly. And then, of course, we also have the TDAM Global Technology Leaders Index ETF. That's a pure technology product built around a different themes within the product. 5G is one of those core themes that we invest in.
Vitali, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Tony.